Welcome, everyone. We are back for another edition of Social Media Myths Busted with the awesome Lou Bortone. Hey, Lou, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Loving the hangout situation here.
Yeah, it's
But
always something. I mean, it's I was saying last week, oh my God, I'm on a hangout with this New Zealand and San Francisco, and I had all these worldly locations, and I'm thinking we're all connected. And then of course we try and do just the usual hangout. And as I mentioned before, I had all kinds of things popping on my screen and stuff flashing. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on?
we love
But we're here.
technology, and it keeps getting better and better. Oh. But let's talk about you. Tell us what the main
Okay.
focus of your work is, what your vision is. Start there.
Sure. Well, as you may know, and as a lot of folks know, I came from the television industry and worked for many, many years in TV, radio, cable, out in Hollywood, in La La Land, things like that. And it's interesting because I grew up in the TV business. My dad was in the television business, and it's really kind of in my blood. And up until a few years ago, it was sort of like the big three or four networks kind of controlled the media.
Mhm.
And the fact that we can do this right now and webcast to the world on a free application on Google is pretty amazing because, back in the day, where I came from, it was like if you weren't NBC, CBS, or ABC, you didn't have these kind of resources. So my goal and my mission is to help folks, basically do video marketing and web marketing so that they can get their message out just like the big three networks used to do when we were little. They were the only ones that could do it. Now we have these tools at our fingertips, and when they work, and they usually do, it gives us the ability to get our message to the world. So that's really what I'm trying to do, help entrepreneurs get their message out to the world.
And so you were a fairly early adapter of YouTube, would you say?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it was, I checked the other day because somebody asked me that question actually, and it was probably 2 or 3 months after they first started. So I had to go back and like look at all those really, really early videos and make them unlisted because they're just so terrible. But you got to start somewhere. Maybe I should leave
That's
them up
great.
as encouragement for people to say, look, hey, when I started this, it was, pretty rough around the edges. So,
Yeah, and if I can do it, you can do it, right?
hmm
Now,
yeah.
was YouTube where you started with social media, or take us on your social media journey?
Sure. It was, YouTube. I was on there, but back when it first started 7, 8 years ago, we didn't really even think of it as social media like we do today. And now I definitely consider YouTube to be a social network. But I think I really first got started with Twitter and Facebook. And as an introvert and as somebody who doesn't really like to do a lot of in-person stuff, it was awesome. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, I get to hide behind my computer and hang out with folks and network and talk to people from all over the world. So it was like a dream come true for this introvert because I could express myself without having to get on a plane or go to an event.
So you took to it pretty quickly.
hmm
And then, in what way has social media and video marketing really helped your success?
hmm
Maybe if you have a scenario or a story.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, again, having been in corporate America and gone out to work on my own, aside from the fact that I'm an introvert, I still did miss that interaction and the sort of water cooler thing. So Facebook and Twitter became my water cooler, and I think that's probably the case with a lot of folks. And I developed a lot of relationships and friendships like ours first on social media. Like before we ever met in person, we had been, communicating on Facebook and Twitter, and that's the case with a lot of my colleagues and clients. So really, the big, I can't really think of one specific example other than the fact that when I go to a conference or an event, and I'm sure you've heard this too, I feel like I already know you. I feel like we've been friends for years. Well, we have on
Mhm.
social media. We just haven't connected in person until now,
I
and
think
that's
that
really
happens.
the best, really the best of all worlds because you're able to establish a relationship and start to build that foundation long before you ever meet in person.
Yeah, and I think that even happened with you and I. We
hmm
knew each other through various social networks and online courses and things like that, and then we meet in person. It was like, hey, it's my buddy
Yeah,
Lou.
all good friends. Yeah. So really,
Exactly.
especially for somebody or for folks who are less gregarious and outgoing, social media is really a wonderful tool because it does allow us to express ourselves without the pressure of sort of that in-person networking.
So to help translate this water cooler idea, what
Hmm.
would an introvert, someone like yourself, what do you do to be social on social
Hmm.
media and build a relationship?
It's really, just a matter of connecting, and especially on Facebook and Twitter, which was sort of my primary social networks other than YouTube. And the funny thing is, for me, it's almost an irony, but usually when you meet somebody, they're a little bit different. Maybe they're more outgoing, or, oh, you're so quiet online. For me, it's just the opposite. For me, people say, oh, you seem so quiet and reserved and shy, and online, you're not afraid to make an ass of yourself. So for me, it's kind of funny because especially with YouTube, because I was kind of camera shy, I would do sort of goofy things and wear costumes or put my pets in the videos. So I was probably more outgoing and more silly and expressive online than I am in person. So sometimes people are like, oh my God, you're so boring in person. You're so much more
I
fun
know.
online.
That's great.
But the
Well,
water cooler thing is great too because it does give you an opportunity for those of us who are entrepreneurs or work alone or work at home. It really does provide that connection to the outside world where you can feel like, okay, I wasn't by myself all day. I did a hangout with Laura, or I did, some people reacted to this YouTube video, or we had some people going back and forth on, on Facebook with comments. It really is a great way to stay connected, even if you're, a work at home person.
yeah, I can concur 100% with that. So, what myths, what misconceptions do you think people
Hmm.
buy into, maybe in particular with regard to video marketing, that really
Right.
prevent them from participating in a way that adds value?
I think there's a few with video especially, and I think one of them is that you feel like you have to perform or maybe be someone else or really be totally together if you're going to do video. And as you can see from my bad hair day hat, I think the video is that you just fire up the webcam and go. So you can be yourself. You can be silly, you can be expressive, you can be, you don't have to do that, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie thing to get ready for a Google Hangout or for a YouTube video. So I think the big myth is that you have to be someone else or prepare or really have your act together. And I think you should just do video on the fly. Now there are cases when if you're doing a homepage video or video that's going to have some shelf life, obviously you want to take some more time and wash your hair or whatever. But if it's for these on the fly quick interviews, just a way to connect, video, email, all these types of things that you can do spontaneously, and I think that's the beauty of it. And I think the other myth with video is that it's really technical and complicated and hard. And again, although we may have some occasional issues with Google Hangouts, or maybe, like my iPhone was full today, so I couldn't shoot a video with it. But other than those little things, it's really not that complicated. Google Hangouts is free, YouTube's free, you can do videos with your iPhone or your flip cam or whatever you may have. So it's really a lot of low-hanging fruit that's much easier than most people, I think, realize.
So it's easy, you don't have to spend a lot of money or have special equipment. What about the myth that I
Hmm.
hear a lot when clients come to me? They're like, Laura, I want to do video and I want it to go viral. And yeah, it'll go viral. What
Hmm.
isn't there a myth around videos going viral or before
Yeah,
people actually
absolutely.
have an
Yeah.
experience with it?
Yep. And again, it's funny because everybody wants a viral video, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to have 3 million views on their video? But the truth is that the vast majority of videos get less than 500 views. I think it's 80% of videos get less than 500 views. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because if you're reaching your target market and your audience, you don't really need 3 million views to have a coaching business. You just need the right views, the right people. You need to make sure that your message is relevant to those people. And I think people get really hung up on views when what they really should be thinking about is, who am I connecting with and what's the quality of those views and those connections rather than, okay, great. It doesn't, like my daughter says, oh, we played one of your videos at school the other day and now all the kids in high school are watching it. I'm like, well, that's kind of funny, but it doesn't do me any good at all from a business standpoint. Um,
That's great.
so I did this, and my wife's so mad at me. I did when Kim Kardashian did her latest stunt. I did a funny video around that where I like did like a Dr. Seuss poem called "Kim I Am," and that one got 600 views. So that's over the 500 view threshold. But now my wife's like, I can't believe your daughter and her friends are watching that at school. I'm like, that's video. It's out there. So
You targeted your market in that one.
yeah. So
Or
that was,
that market.
and you can, obviously if you tap into pop culture, or if your message is really relevant or timely, you obviously have a better chance of getting more views. But really, it really does come down to make sure that you're getting the right views, not just quantity.
That's brilliant and important. So that brings up a question. Is it better to have more videos or higher quality videos? Quantity
Ooh,
or
that's a good
quality?
question. If you can balance both, because like I say, for those videos that are going to have shelf life, for instance, when you go on video, you can have what's called a video trailer, sort of the first video that people see if they have not subscribed to your channel. So you probably want that one to be a little higher quality and take a little bit more time and thought about it. But for the most part, it's also great if you do, if you're someplace and you're at a location, or you have a teaching moment, or you've got your iPhone with you. It's great to be able to do a lot of quick, on-the-fly, on-the-go videos, because again, the more videos you do have on YouTube and the longer people watch those, the more YouTube is going to rank your videos. So it really is a combination of quality and quantity. And with quantity, what I do is, again, I can go on Google Hangouts as a way to record a video to YouTube without necessarily having an audience, and I can crank out like 10 2-minute tips in a couple of hours. So now I've got 10 quick tip videos on YouTube, and because I did them with Google Hangouts on air, they were automatically uploaded to YouTube. So I've instantly got 10 new videos there.
The beauty
Pretty
of
instantly.
Google. Yeah, love it.
Yes.
And what you were saying about having your iPhone handy or your smartphone and videoing on the fly, little learning points and things about your life or whatever. It's like having your own reality show, and it could be a business show or a personal show, I guess.
It is, and I think people want to see that, behind the scenes, spontaneous, on the fly kind of stuff, and that's why, I've never really made any distinction between my personal online presence and my business online presence. For me, it's, I just put whatever on Facebook. One day it might be a video of my son at a baseball game because he plays a lot of baseball, or I'm in the stands and I think of something like, oh my gosh, this thing on baseball just reminded me of this video strategy or something. So I have just as much of that as I do, the sort of more businessy kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's great. So we're talking about myths and what people buy into and what stops them, whether it's being on camera or even the notion, oh, I'm going to go viral, and if we all knew what goes viral, then we'd be really, really successful. But did you buy into any myths at any time, or anything you had to overcome with social media?
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, the myth of like, oh my gosh, I've got to present this certain, presence or this certain character on video. Initially, I thought, oh, I really have to, I got to, get serious, and this is business, and people don't want all this silly stuff. But then I finally, the more I loosened up and did the silly stuff, the more success I had, because in a lot of cases, I'd rather make the point and get the message out there with, a little bit of silliness, or because Rocco the Pug is running around like crazy in the background. It's like, well, that's just what happens here when I do stuff. So I'm going to make Rocco not only part of my videos but part of my brand, and put him on the website. And as long as he's going to be, insist on being part of this, I might as well go with it and make him part of it. So it's sort of like you can't beat him, join him. So I think the myth of like, well, there's the professional Lou Bortone and then there's the regular Lou Bortone. It's like, forget it. It's all one thing now. So that was a big one for me, and also that I had to kind of have a certain presence even on Facebook. Like, okay, I have to be careful of what I post, and I do sort of still am a little bit careful, but I stay away from religion and politics. But if I see something that I think is funny and that my folks will think is funny, I'll push the envelope a little bit and throw it out there.
Cool. So, do you have a story where you were surprised by the impact of social media?
Yeah, I think for me, when it really hit me, and again, this was fairly early on in the days of YouTube, I was doing a lot of YouTube videos. In fact, I was doing like a little series called LouTube, because why not? And
YouTube? What was that?
LouTube,
Oh,
L-O-U.
YouTube. I love
Yeah.
it.
And again, sometimes I would do silly videos, or sometimes I would just because I was doing effects and I had green screen, I'd be like, oh, I'm in Las Vegas this week, and I'm not really in Las Vegas, I'm in New Hampshire. But so what happened was I was doing a bunch of those, and you sort of put them out there, and you think, are they going into a black hole? Is anybody really seeing this? But then I went to a conference in Philadelphia, and I remember distinctly walking into the restaurant bar and somebody saying like, "Oh my God, there's the LouTube guy," and like I got recognized. It's like, "Hey, LouTube dude, come over here. We'll buy you a drink." And some folks from the conference knew me before I knew them, or recognized me from a YouTube video, and that's kind of when it hit me that like, wow, video really does equal visibility, and really does help to get you that "I see you everywhere" effect. That's really, really powerful with social media. That's
So,
my favorite thing.
and how often do you post videos?
I usually go sort of in fits and starts, but I try and do something at least once a week. And again, I do a lot of video. Um, like if I'm doing a sales page, I'll do a sales video and I'll do the thank you video. Now that's not necessarily going up out on YouTube, but it's still for a specific purpose. So that may not be a video that's on YouTube, but I've got a sales page that has a sales video on it, and if they sign up, there's a thank you video and things like that. So I like to engage throughout the whole sort of buying process, before, during, and after.
That's a great tip and technique to do. Have video incorporated throughout your whole website so people are with you physically. Are you a big fan of videos that don't have you on camera? They're more like the
hmm
words on, or PowerPoint presentations?
Yeah, I like those videos, especially for teaching, and because I do a lot of video webinars, and really that's sort of the main way that I teach and get stuff out there, because if I have to do an hour or 90-minute presentation or teaching, I don't want it to just be a talking head. So I'm a really big proponent of off-camera videos, PowerPoint to video. I mean, again, a narrated PowerPoint is a video, so it really is as simple as posting that presentation or that webinar, and you've got a video. So I do a lot of teaching videos where I do a lot of kind of off-camera. And in some cases, like with Google Hangouts, I may come on at the beginning and say hello and sort of put a face to the name, and then switch to the screen share and show slides. So I do quite a bit of videos that way as well.
So what advice do you have now for people who are willing to step up and play a bigger game on
Mhm.
video and get out there and use it as a relationship building tool? Where should they start with video?
I usually advise folks to find what I call their video sweet spot. And again, for some people, that's going to be on camera. Some people are just like, hey, I'm totally fine with this. I'll look into the little teeny green button up there and talk, or whatever. For other people, it's going to be, they're going to be much more comfortable with an animated video or something where they don't have to be on camera. So whatever once you find your video sweet spot, it's a lot easier to do it. And if it's easier to do it, you will do more of it. So I've got probably just as many off-camera teaching PowerPoint videos as I do on-camera videos.
And nowadays, there's so many different ways to create video. You just mentioned something called animated videos. What are those,
Mhm.
and how do people do that?
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of what's called whiteboard videos or sketch videos, and there's software out there that really makes it much more accessible and much easier, sort of cut and paste. There are ways to do whiteboard videos like Video Scribe or Powtoon, Powtoon.com. There are ways to do the videos with words flying in and out, and usually, I mean, back a few years ago, it would cost thousands of dollars to produce something like that. You'd have to know Adobe After Effects, which is not easy or inexpensive, but there's so much software out there now and so many different tools. It seems like almost a new one comes out almost every day. You can be a really professional-looking animator and do those kinds of videos if you don't want to be on camera.
Yeah, so you can have a really cool presence without worrying about your camera, and then probably get pretty used to being on camera after that, right?
Yeah, at some point you want to do, again, especially if you're doing a welcome video for your website, or maybe a sales video where you're selling a service, at some point people are going to want to see the person behind the product.
Yeah, I'm someone who learns and evolves by doing, so I think that's what you're saying is get out there, do something, and stuff will happen. what do you think about? I'm hearing a lot of talk about Facebook and video. They've changed some of their video strategies. It looks like when now you go to put a link on a YouTube link on Facebook, it no longer plays in Facebook. It jumps you out. And is that new? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I mean, I know the only thing I notice about Facebook is that every week it's different. So
Yes.
it's kind of like YouTube. So and that's always going to change. But I think again, if you think more in terms of how can I connect, how can I establish a relationship, how can I kind of get out there and make that connection. You don't worry as much about the okay, well, is Facebook going to show it this way or that way? And again, it used to be where if you upload a video from Facebook and share it to YouTube, it's going to bring you back to YouTube. But if you post it straight on Facebook, you've got a lot more control over the environment. And I know there's always going to be new plugins, the new algorithms, and who knows what they're gonna do with that all. But I think the main thing is, especially with Facebook, you've got to keep finding new ways to connect and engage. There was a time when, not too long ago, when everybody's like, oh, just do photo quotes or just do images or whatever. So it's like Facebook flavor of the week. What's going to work this week? And I think the underlying theme of all that is, how can I connect and engage in a way that is, hopefully entertaining and informative.
Do you recommend that people upload their videos to both YouTube and Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. And in a lot of cases, I've gotten more traction on the videos on Facebook than I have on YouTube, perhaps because there's 80 gazillion videos on YouTube, but not quite as many on Facebook. So I usually, I start with YouTube just because that's sort of a great place to host for free and it's easy. And then I'll usually upload a video to Facebook separately. Again, you just have a little bit more control over the thumbnails and the environment and the way that it looks if you upload it directly to Facebook.
That's great. So leave us with a tip, something to get us excited about, people. For those of us or them who are not yet super convinced they want to try it.
Right. Well, I'll kind of go back to what I said at the beginning and button this all up in that, you didn't have the ability to fire up a webcam or turn on a free Google Hangout and broadcast to the world and get your message out to, the four corners of the globe or whatever. It used to really be that all of the media power was held by very few people, and now it's really user-generated video, and there are people every day coming up being discovered on YouTube, and there are TV series being made out of YouTube shows. So, now the power is in our hands, and we have the tools and we have the capability, and I just hope that folks will take advantage of that and use it.
And tell us how you can help them, and how can people find you as well?
Sure.
I know you do that.
Yep, probably the best way to find me is at loubortone.com, my main website. And there I do everything from one-on-one coaching to help people with their video strategy, to help them get going and look professional on video, to group programs and products and all.
Great. Thank you so much for your wisdom, your insight, your inspiration. I can't wait to go viral.
Thanks, my pleasure. We'll get
or
hundreds
whatever.
of thousands of views.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I really like what you said about being able to just be with people more. It's more connected when they can see you, right, on the video. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's just something about that, the next best thing to being there, I guess, or being in person.
I love that. Oh, we're quoting that one. And so we end on a really profound spot. The next best thing to being in person is being on video. You heard it here with Lou Bortone. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.